All right. Good day, everyone. Once again, welcome to Tools and Tribe. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. It will go a long way and it will reach more people, right? For those who have subscribed, thank you. We appreciate your subscription. It will go also a long way if you engage and share the video. All right. In today's session, the next person I'm bringing in, I've known him for I've known him for quite a while, for going to 10 years now. And for me, he's a senior colleague in the IT space, right? There was a particular tool I wanted to learn, and not as if it was not on YouTube, right? But someone always used to tell me that it's always good to learn from the experience of others, right? And I kind of learned from his experience. So learning from his experience now gave me an extra edge to even understanding the tool, right? But beyond that, right, he's a good friend, and beyond being a friend, he's someone that is very reliable, right? So, guys, if you see him outside this video, please reach out to him. He does amazing work in the Webflow space, right? But beyond that, let's get cracking. The person I'm bringing in, his name is Gabriel, right? And I'll give the floor over to him so he does the introduction himself, and we'll carry on in the session.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Good. Well, whatever time you're watching this, you're welcome. My name is Gabriel, and like Tolu already mentioned, I am actually, I started as a designer. Both of us worked at the same company, and I joined there around 2015 as a design intern. Then I became a UI, well, let me say web designer. So basically, that's how I started my career in the tech space. Before then, I was working in project management, but at some point in time, I just said, this is not for me. And an opportunity came up in this company to sign up for a code camp. Yeah. And from there, I was selected, became a design intern, became a staff, basically designing UI, basically designing websites. And then I think because of the my team leader I was hanging around it, like he used to build like very nice designs, and that's maybe I might mention him later on in the interview. And then he encouraged me. I got into like designing websites, and that's pretty much where it started. I think what happened was, I think around 2021, I took a gap year from work. I wasn't working at all. I just needed to cool down my head. This was after the pandemic, of course. And then I discovered Webflow. Actually, funny enough, this was in 2021, right? But by the time I logged into my Webflow account, I noticed I had created it in 2017.
Wow.
So I guess I was just curious, but I never really like went ahead with it, right? Then sometime in 2021, I picked it up. I was trying different things that year since I didn't have the I'd saved, I had like good amount of savings, and basically I was just trying to try my hand at different things. And um, Webflow was just a beautiful tool that I discovered because it gave me the visual. I was basically designing, doing the same thing I did using code, but now with the visual interface. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. Since then, I've had the opportunity to work with amazing companies around the world. I've worked with companies in Singapore, I've done the site for someone in Canada, US. It's just been amazing from my small room in Surulere. I still live in Surulere, but it just shows you that like people value your skill. If you have skill, yeah, people are going to value. And if you can sell yourself, yes. So that's pretty much been the journey to 2025.
Wow. Thank you so much. There is something I heard you kept saying, even I too also said it, right? But I'm going to switch it into our discussion, right? And I feel if you are out maybe in a party, right, and someone bump into you, and the person asks that, how do you explain Webflow and web design without any technical jargon, or as simple as possible?
Okay, I would say Webflow is basically building websites with a visual interface. So a lot of people can remember, people who have been in this space for a very long time can probably remember Dreamweaver. it's a very old Adobe software, which I don't think they're even doing anymore, right? But Webflow is kind of that in the way where instead of writing code, you're basically designing things in a visual interface. So it appeals to people who are designers, it appeals to people who are maybe might be a little bit intimidated with code. And but even though it's not a drag, the thing is, the beautiful thing about Webflow is that it's not exactly drag and drop. So you
Mm.
actually abides to regular web design conventions, right? So it was good. Reason it was so easy for me to pick up was, yes, I've been already been used to writing HTML, CSS, and a bit of JavaScript. So for me, I feel Webflow is, if I were to explain this in a non-technical way, is Webflow is a tool that allows you to build websites visually without having to write code. So they abstract the code and make like it's not exactly drag and drop, but it's definitely easier to pick up for people that might not be so comfortable with code.
Oh. So there's something I have been doing for the past series I've always been doing, right? And it's how you explain to a 5-year-old what you do. So if you tell the person you're a webflow designer, how you explain it to a 5-year-old?
So most times, I guess, yeah, like you mentioned in terms of if I were to meet someone at the party. So starting from the party side, it depends on what kind of party. If I'm in a party with fellow techies, I'll probably say I'm a workflow developer. If I'm at the regular party and someone asks me, what do you do for a living? I'll say I design websites for companies and startups, right? So if I were to speak to a 5-year-old, I'll say I build, what do I say? I build websites that you can see on your mommy's screen or your daddy's screen, something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Wow. So, and what's surprising, I feel there's something you said, right? So, for people, because one of the reasons why we started this particular series that we're doing about tech space is that people have this idea or this mindset that people that are in tech, everybody must know how to code. Do you think your coding knowledge and your technical skills is what is giving you the leverage to leverage in this Webflow space currently?
Okay, so yeah, to be very honest, yeah, I mean, yes, we do know that if we're being honest, not everybody that works in tech needs to learn how to code. You can be a lawyer in the startup space, you can be a project manager, you don't necessarily have to. I mean, and there are lots of opportunities. You can be a writer, you can be a UI designer, you can be a UX researcher. There's so many different roles that do not have to do with code. But specifically for Webflow, um, I say yes, it has given me an advantage, but at the same time, I've also met people who did not necessarily come from a technical background or don't necessarily know how to code, and they are doing Webflow and they are succeeding in it.
Mm.
But one thing is for sure, they did need to go back and learn the fundamentals of how the web works. Like why is this tag called this? Why is this called this? And I do feel like, in a way, Webflow and other low-code tools, whether you're using Bubble, whether you're even using WordPress, right? They are kind of like a gateway to learning how to code at least a little bit or understanding code, because all of these tools, as amazing as they are, they all have limitations.
True.
They all have limitations. So yes, for me, I feel it has given me an advantage. Again, I wasn't, before I even started learning how to code, I was a designer. So I also see things from a visual point of view that some people might not get. There are some developers that say, oh, that they definitely need, they always need like someone with a visual eye to help them in applications or stuff that they're building. For me, I have the advantage that even before I started designing websites, I used to play around in Photoshop, before we had Figma, Photoshop, Illustrator. So I kind of have a little bit of design background. That, and also with the coding um, history, has helped me a lot. But I feel like anybody watching this, you don't think this is like it's a handicap for you. You
Mm.
can learn it. That's the reason why it's a visual tool, so that people are not intimidated by a black screen.
Wow. Wow, you have said a lot, right? And for me, I think that's very interesting because most times people think that, but I feel your background kind of gave you an edge, right? So do you
Yeah,
think
I
your
feel
background,
so.
Do you think your background kind of made you, because of your background, into design, into um, doing stuff with illustration and all that? Do you think that was your edge into breaking into tech? Or what kind of gave you the big break into tech and working for these big companies in different continents and in different companies?
Okay, I would say first off, even getting accepted into that code camp was one of the things that gave me an edge was that I knew how to design, right? I knew how to design, and so I feel like that was even like the first breakthrough. The laptop that I used to apply, in fact, I saved for a year to buy that laptop. All right, I saved for a year to buy that laptop because the one at the company I was working at wasn't really fast. It was basically just for writing documents, and I needed something to design graphics, and that was how I started learning UI design. So by the time I even applied, I had I didn't know how to code nothing. Yes, I had written "Hello World" in HTML, but that was it. So yes, that gave me an edge as a graphic designer, starting out as a graphic designer. And there's this other tool. Um, I can't even remember. I mean, we've used a lot of things back in the day, but I feel like all of this comes together, right? All
Yeah.
of this comes together. I remember one time I went for a training with someone that used to work in Google. They were doing something in Lagos, and she was a UX designer, but she came from a psychology background, right? So I feel like even if you are not necessarily from a tech background, you didn't study computer science, none of those things. There's a way that you're experiencing whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's finance, whether it's banking, whether it's engineering, whether it's whatever, so long as you have that desire, you can always find it. It can give you an edge in a way. Yes, design, and I say this because I know a lot of the people that are probably going to watch this are not necessarily coming from a tech background. So there's nothing that you can't learn. That's my belief. There's nothing you can't learn when it comes to tech, so long as you're dedicated. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Right. So, guys, those that are trying to break into tech, are thinking tech is only for people that know how to program or code or technical background. I feel Gabriel has done a big job in explaining this, right? So, for me, you said something that transitioning from design to becoming a Webflow developer,
Yeah.
you say, was it like, was it seamless? Because I feel some people that are currently doing editing, doing normal 3D designs, doing all those different kind of designs, they can easily transition into being a Webflow developer without those coding languages because they know design.
Yes, it is. It is an advantage, but again, thankfully for the Webflow community on X, there are people that come from various. In fact, there's this guy that he was in the medical field. Yeah, he was in the medical field, and now he's one of like the top. There are some people that came from architecture. Yeah, we can say that's design. So yes, it might give them an advantage, but then again, um, the it's very easy in, well, easy is relative, right? But on YouTube, there's a lot, or there are so many resources. Like, it's amazing. There are people who drop. If you go to YouTube and you search for Webflow course, or you search for Bubble course, or you search for Framer, for instance, Framer is like the tool that is bubbling now because it's very closely resembles Figma. So people who are already UX designers, UI designers, very easy for them to pick up. Yes, it's an advantage, but the biggest advantage that we have as for any field, whether I decide to become a doctor tomorrow or an architect tomorrow, is that I should just put my head down and learn what is needed. Yeah, regardless of your background. I mean, we worked in the same company, and whenever we used to ask people, "What did you do before? What did you study in school?" This one will say, "I did agric. I studied fishery. I did." So it just shows you that like that desire, it's going to be for some people it's going to be harder than others. But the truth of the matter is that if you have that desire, there's really nothing you can't do. Like if you dedicate like 6 to 18 months, there's pretty much no. Yes, I know that another thing is, to be honest, there's some people that have aptitude for certain things,
Yeah.
right? You don't need to learn how to naturally code. You don't need to be a designer and developer. If you can organize people, you might want to become a project manager or a product manager. So yes, just find what your natural inclination is and just follow it. For me, again, I started by before I owned a computer, I used to draw I'm very interested in photography. Then it was graphic design, then it was UI design, then it's web design. Then I learned how to code. So all of that actually crystallizes into who I am today. All those that's why I like even there are some days the work is not so it's very tough. It's very difficult. You're trying to figure out things. Yeah. Hours working on a bug that does not want to go. It's just that desire that I'm going to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
We die here, like we say as Nigerians. So yeah, regardless of your background, if you have that tenacity, trust me, you can break into whatever field in tech.
Well, there's something you said, and I'm going to kind of leech on it to jump into the next conversation. And the next conversation is I have seen several people, and I'm sure you two have also seen several people, but several people I've seen, right? They're trying to get into tech, but it feels overwhelming to them and they don't know where to get started. So what advice do you give them on how to get started?
Oh man, this, I don't want to give a generic advice because I feel like different things are working in different people's life. For instance, if you're coming out of school, right, and you do not have any responsibilities and you can dedicate like 3 months of your life trying to learn something, it's quite different from somebody who has a full-time job who has to wake up by 5, 6 in the morning if you live in Lagos to go to work. And you're telling the person, yes, you can do it, you can. It's a totally different dynamic. Or you're speaking to a single mom or a mom who has 3 children beyond just the job that she has to do. She has to take care of kids. Where do you find the time? Yes, it can be overwhelming. That is why for every person that has come to me and has usually I ask them, what do you like to do or what are you doing right now? Another way is just go on YouTube and search. Just search. If you want to do product design, or you want to do product management, or you want to be like a technical writer, just go on YouTube and search and see, okay, what there was something I used to do in university. I'll just go on YouTube and I'll say, what does job role do? I was very interested in a lot of things. I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do because graphic design was how I used to manage in school. But if you're working with clients, I mean, they can like frustrate you. So I would just go on YouTube and search for what does da 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 do? What are the responsibilities of? And you would see people who have interviews and, people talk about the job that they do and blah, blah, blah. So I feel like if anybody is overwhelmed, they should maybe just first off try to see what is it that they're currently doing right now that they enjoy doing that they might be a similar thing in tech that they can do. If they're still overwhelmed, take a small course, maybe in a crash course in something. Like just try it and see whether you like it. Try different things till you see to eventually land on the thing that you wanted to do. It's just like how we were kids where we would say, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? And this one will say, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a pilot and blah 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 blah. And for a lot of people, I'm so happy for people who know exactly one thing that they want to do. For me, it was never that easy. Only thing I shall know is that I was interested in design.
Mm,
I would look at magazine, I would see designs, and for some reason there were people around me that didn't feel the same way to the things. I love looking at old magazines, buying old magazines, just looking at the layout. I didn't know what it meant to be a graphic designer. In fact, I'll tell you this funny story. When I was working as a project manager, right? Someone linked me up with someone else. Say, this guy can design. He can design, right? I say, okay, no wala. So they were in university and they built an app already for their school. I think it was a meal ordering app for their school. I can't remember the school right now, but this guy reached out to me and he said, "Oh, we have this UI. Can you design? Can you make it better?" And now me, when they said design, I just thought it was graphic design. So I took it and I designed something in Photoshop. Right. So I designed it, sent it to them. They were like, "Oh, it's nice, it's nice." But we were expecting that you were going to send us the HTML, the CSS files of it. So then I didn't even know what it meant to be a web designer. The only thing was that I saw something and I made it more beautiful. It was years later that we now started having tools like Sketch, Adobe XD, and okay, this is what it means to be a web designer, or this is what it means to be a UI designer. I didn't know. I had the skills of a graphic designer playing around in Photoshop, and that's what has led to what I'm doing right now. So some people might want to break into tech. A good inclination is, what are you doing right now? Or
Yeah.
if you don't enjoy what you're doing right now, just go on YouTube, search for, if you see a role somewhere, search for it. There's so much information. Like, there is absolutely so much information. You can ever use ChatGPT to ask, what does this do for a living? What are the responsibilities? And I feel like if anybody is really, really interested, they would find a way. They would definitely find a way, because there's so much information right now that is available in books, blogs, videos, tweets, Reddit, Quora. There's so much information. But if they are still overwhelmed, just find one thing, do it. Do it for like 1 week. Try it for like 1 week. Do a training, do a mini training. You will notice that, okay, maybe I don't really like this one that much, but this one seems more like the vibe for me. So try different things until you find the thing that you want to do long term.
Wow. Thank you so much for that advice, actually. Right. And for me, when you're talking, I know you have over 10 years of experience being in tech, right? So, but what is one mistake you have made earlier in your career that others can learn from?
Ah, man, so many, so many, so many. I'll say one of the biggest ones is really not. Sometimes I would say not taking action. So, for instance, I have okay, you want to do something, like you want to learn this thing, and then you keep procrastinating, you keep procrastinating, and you keep procrastinating. Then you now get something, you now get an opportunity whereby those skills would have come in handy. But now, since you didn't take that action at the time to learn it, it now passes you by. I've in fact, or is it buying courses and not doing them and not following through? I've bought courses and I've not followed through on what I needed to do. Another thing is, a lot of people can probably relate to this, is shiny object syndrome. So you start doing one thing, and then you hear another person is doing something and you run and go and do that. And then you see another person is doing something, you run and go, rather than just taking the time and trying one thing out for a long time and trying to master it. So a lot of people now would say, "Oh, I want to learn no code. Should I do Bubble? Should I do Webflow? Should I learn Make and N8N? Should I, instead of just, take one and do it for a month, or do it for 30 days, just be consistent. Either two things will happen. You would become proficient. It might be hard in the beginning, but over 30 days, you become a little bit proficient and you now enjoy doing it. Or you instantly know, this one is not for me, rather than jumping from one skill to another skill to another skill to another skill. There was a time around that 2021, when I took a gap break. I was trying to learn AR and VR. I was trying to learn Blender. I learned a little bit of Blender. I was trying to learn Bubble. What else? There are a couple of things I tried, like, because again, I didn't have to clock into a 9 to 5, so I could focus. So I tried my hands at different things. I even tried After Effects and failed woefully so many times. I'm still trying to go back into it because I love motion design. So I tried different things, and then I now settled on doing Webflow. But are we surprised? I was already a web designer,
Yeah.
right? It was very easy for me to leverage on my pre-existing skills to do something that was still in the same line, But I went, tried different things, and I now found out what was my sweet spot. So yeah, that's what I had so many mistakes, but for anyone who is even in tech right now, you know what? Just dedicate time to do one thing. Just dedicate time to do one thing. And I am the kind of person that will tell you, please do not believe in a focus on your passion. No,
Mhm.
do not focus on your passion, because my passion really is to lie down and sleep. That's my passion. Or to travel. That is my passion. but focus on the thing that the market needs. So right now, Frema is blowing up. Bubble is still very good. There's still a whole lot of demand for Bubble. Webflow is there. I mean, even if you're doing WordPress, even whatever it is that you want, or Shopify, I'm again, I'm speaking to a lot of web-based stuff because that is kind of like my domain. I know there are other fields too in tech, but I'm just saying, pick what the market is demanding. Do not focus on your passion. Do not focus on, oh, I really like this thing that much. Focus on what the market is currently demanding and build skills in that domain. Because there is nothing as frustrating as being passionate about something that does not pay you well, that cannot, cover your bills.
Yeah.
That's just the truth of the matter. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, right? And for me, I think one thing that stood out in the conversation for me is being able to put your hand into not just putting your hand into so many places, but being
Try
able to
things.
stick with one thing and try it till you're good at it.
Yes, yes, yes. There is this shiny object. See, even till now, like on my board, I have a whole lot of things I wrote down that I want to learn, right? But I know that I can't do. There's this thing I say to myself sometimes. You can do many things, but you can't. But you have to do them one after the other. Like if you try to cram so many things, and I want to do this, I want to learn this, I want to learn this, you might end up just noticing that your energy is dissipated. You can't focus on any. So do one thing long, maybe on the side. Maybe you have a full-time job. Do one thing. Spend maybe 1 hour, 30 minutes a day just doing that thing. By the time you do it for a week, you will know whether you want to do it going forward, or whether you want to dump it and try something else. But just trying to model your hand into many things, nah, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Well, but you have said something that for me, I feel we need to jump into, right? So I know Webflow, low code, and no code tools, right? I know they are changing the the dynamics of the game and tech industry, right? But where do you think where do you think it's going, right? Based on where how you have been using this tool so far.
Okay. So yeah, it's what this whole no code, low code industry has done is that it has given um regular people regular people in the sense that they are less. I think someone did a study one time and said a very 0 point something percentage of the world knows how to code, right? But this low code or no code tools are given regular people who probably are intimidated by technical stuff to start things, to launch things, or even at the very least create a prototype. So we have tools like Webflow now. We have tools like Lovable, which basically allows you to like vibe code and build something. And even though a lot of people laugh at these tools, the truth of the matter is that sometimes you might just need to validate an idea and then get funding or get a technical person interested. Sometimes that might, even if that's the only thing that you do with that tool, it enables people at least to start something. I imagine someone wants to create an iOS app or build a startup, and they don't know how to code. Maybe they learn how to design in Figma, for instance. It's easier for you to present your ideas to an investor or to someone who could help you build out that idea if you even have the ability to present it in a user interface, even if that's the lowest rung of the ladder, rather than just have an idea inside a document. So these tools are basically, again, they would never replace developers. Absolutely not. So I mean, whenever I see things on Twitter or on LinkedIn and people say, oh, developers are going to lose their jobs, I'm like, even these tools are being built by developers. It's not monkeys at the back end that are writing the code for Webflow or for Bubble. It's still developers. But even for the seasoned developers themselves, these tools are helping them launch faster. For instance, using Webflow, I'm able to, like, I'm working on a website which I'm almost done for a UK modeling agency, right? And when I think of if I had to build this from scratch by hand, it would take me so longer than the 3 weeks I've used for all the things I've been able to build so far. So even for seasoned developers, these tools enable them to build. How fast can you go to market? How fast can you get customers? So these tools, they are not meant to replace developers. Nah, and I'm not even coming from someone who is a developer. They would never replace developers, but instead they would kind of democratize web development or app development, wherever the case may be, and put it in the hands of many people. And trust me, the more people that can create even bespoke software, not every software or every app needs to be used by 100,000 people. Sometimes it might just need to be used by 5,000 or 500 or 50, so you can now tweak you can have an idea, think about it, vibe code it or design it and have someone else build it and launch faster. So the faster you launch, if it becomes a success, fine for you. If it doesn't, at least you can go back rather than spending a year and spending so much money having developers to build something that by the time you go to the market, either the market has moved or the market was never there in the first place.
Mm,
So that's me. That's how I think about these tools.
mm. Well, but for me, it kind of leads us to the next conversation, right? So tools like Make, Airtable, would they replace? I know you said it's right, but would they replace traditional developers?
Never, not in, not in a thousand years, not in a thousand years. Yesterday, I was trying to, it's the a lot of this thing where we call no code or low code is actually just a marketing term because at the end of the day, it's still code that powers behind the scenes, right? I was trying to do something in Make. In fact, the last time I opened a Make dashboard, the name of the company was called Integromat. That's just to show you how far back I've not touched it. And I was trying to do something, and then at some point in time, they told me I had to write some rejects code, and I'm like, man, I don't know reject. I'm going to, it just shows you that there is in between that layer of abstraction, as nice as it is, there are certain things that you will not be able to do if you do not have some level of code, if you don't have some code expertise. But still, people have been able to build amazing companies, amazing, startups, or they've been able to build prototypes that have now been fully built out. And they would not, even developers these days are using a lot. It's just like say, you know what? I don't want to use. Let me not use email to send. I want to send this document to somebody. But you know what? I'm not going to use email. Instead, I'm going to let me build my own email client from scratch at first, or let me go to the post office and send it. These tools are just things that enable you work faster. They enable you work even better. I mean, people, even everybody now is whether you are an experienced person, whether you are just beginning. A lot of people use LLM tools like ChatGPT, Cloud, and the Gemini for work. So it just shows you that instead the more no code tools we have, the more developers are needed in this space to build out these tools. Whereas for maybe the casual person or the casual developer who doesn't want to spend time setting up NPM and all of that, can just open, you know, um, Lovable or one of these other tools and try out something and build something. So the barrier of entry has been lowered, but like everything else, if the barrier of entry is lower, it means that there are less polished applications that come into the market. The people who are now able to build like very sustainable stuff are the people that really go in deep, and learn these technologies. Yeah, so it's more people get to create apps. For me, that's why I see is that's the beauty about low code. Developers are still going to be needed. I mean, take for instance, everybody has like a smartphone these days, right? Everybody can take quote unquote nice pictures. It didn't take, but yet we still have more photographers because now people are saying that, wow, there's something called aperture and lighting. And, yes, we have billions of smartphones these days, but yet we still have photographers because someone has dedicated their time to learning how to work the magic behind the camera. It's not just snap and shoot. So that's the way I see it. That's just the way I see it.
Well, thank you so very much, right? And as you were talking, one thing that came to my mind is that how you explain to a 5 year old the difference between a Webflow and your traditional coding.
If I had to explain to a 5-year-old, I would say traditional coding is if they have a Lego bricks, right? I would say is either traditional coding is more like you have to get the cement, you have to get the sand and all of that, and then you have to pour the water and know exactly what to do to build a house, right? Then non-traditional coding, like whether it's vibe coding or whether it's using no-code tools, is like using pre-existing blocks. So you have Lego bricks that have already been existing, and then you now put them all together to build something. So yes, I think that's the best way. I can use maybe using sand and cement versus using Lego bricks. Yes, I think that's the best way I can describe the difference between the two.
Wow. Gabriel, thank you so much for sharing that. I truly appreciate it. I feel this is time where we switch the session a little bit, right? And I kind of call it the rapid fire kind of question, right? And what will you say, Webflow or WordPress?
WordPress. Of
Why?
course, Webflow. Webflow. No, I've done way too many. I've done like four, or is it three, WordPress to Webflow. And usually people always have like they come with the same issues, right? So definitely Webflow.
Hmm. Okay. I'm going to the next bit. Remote work or office?
Remote work. Definitely remote work. I've been working remotely since the pandemic. So that's since 2020. I've gotten very so used to it. But maybe yeah, hybrid if the terms and conditions are right. But right now, remote.
Hmm. Okay. Design or development?
Man, development. I think development. Yes, development.
Not design.
Not design. Development. Right now.
Okay. Automation tools or manual grind?
Automation, definitely. Make after I've finished with this current project, I'm going head straight into learning how to use Make.
Hmm. What is make really?
Okay, so Make basically is an automation tool that allows you to do things that you could basically it's an automation tool. So the beautiful thing about it is that allows you to connect to various different products inside. So it's kind of like Zapier. If you've heard of Zapier before, it's kind of like Zapier, but more like on steroids. So it allows you to connect to so many things within it. So if you need to connect from one API, then send information that's coming from a website to send it into a CRM, then notify someone on Slack, then send someone a text message, or so it allows you to do all of that. And people call it a low code or no code tool because basically it's still visually plugging into this and you're plugging into that. Yeah, so it's that's what it's used for. It's for the former name before it was changed to Make was Integromat, but they changed it into Make like some years ago. So it's very, very, very deep. It's very, very deep. So yeah, it's definitely one tool that I want to learn. I want to learn by in the next quarter, definitely.
Well, I like the goals you are setting for yourself. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm now moving to the next one. Tell me one big myth about getting into tech you want to tell us right now.
That once you enter tech, you're going to blow, you're going to become rich. It's not a money making scheme like every other job in the world. First, you go through that grind of learning and relearning and just first trying to, and you're going to doubt yourself a lot. Even experienced people, even I sometimes have been in this industry for a long time because you would always be, especially if you're challenging yourself, you always be seeing like new and different higher level problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest myths is, and it's really sad because I started seeing this a lot around 2020, yeah, when there was a whole lot of tech boom and they were encouraging people learn how to code, join tech, blah blah blah. and then somebody would have a little bit of success in this in one area, and then now set up a paid master class or a course to get, so people would just have a little bit of breakthrough, and then they start shelling out their courses, selling course, trying to, and it got this it got people thinking, oh, all I need to do is just spend 1 or 2 months learning, doing a particular course, then I'll get a job, and then I'm going to start making dollars and making, a whole lot of money. But they forget that beyond just building the skills, you also need to apply. Like, I mean, if you've been in this industry a long time, rejection emails do not sting anymore. You like, oh, I applied, I was rejected, on to the next one. Like, you once, because all you just need is one win. Basically, all you need is one win. So for everybody that, I think for me, the biggest myth again is people that feel like it's a money making. Yes, yes, there is money in tech, but it's going to take a lot from you as a person to sit down, even if the courses are free. Motivation is not free, consistency is not free, so that, I think, for me, that is the price. Yes, you probably do not need to spend 5 or 7 years to get like a degree. You could, you could maybe leverage on people who already know this by learning and applying yourself, but there's still a cost involved. You are going to still deal with rejection. You're going to still deal with a lot of no's. So yeah, it's a process. Yes, there is people are making a good living from this industry, but like every other industry too, there are some days that are not so fun. Yeah.
Well, you said something that I feel we should also talk about, right? And it's if you are sitting in front of your 18-year-old self, right? What would you tell him or her?
Man, I'll tell him to buy Bitcoin if I was 18 years. Buy Bitcoin, that's what. Trust me, man, or invest into Apple. No, buy Bitcoin. If I was 18 years old again, I would. I'm this kind of person that I liked, and sometimes I still berate myself that if I started earlier, maybe focusing on design or focusing on many years, light years ahead. But if I could speak to my 18-year-old self, I'll say just pick a skill and get very. It doesn't even necessarily have to be with tech, or just become very, very, very good at a problem solving skills is something that is needed in regardless of what industry you are. People who can solve problems are always going to be valuable. Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Guys, if you have a problem, please stop shying away from it. It's important you face the problem head on and dominate it. I feel problems, once you have a problem, I feel there's already a market for you, but you just need to take advantage of it by building the skill set and building the solutions around it so that people can come to the table for you. All right. And I'm going to ask you the last discussion, right, in this particular segment. What tools do you use in your work that kind of keeps you, that people want to enter that same space they need to know and why?
Okay. So I'll say the top three. Of course, I use a whole lot of things. I'll just say the top three and then others. Well, first, obviously, is Webflow. Because I spend a whole lot of my time, in the designer, because if I'm not building something, I'm trying to, maybe there's a tutorial I'm watching, or I saw something very nice on another website, and I'm trying to learn how to build it. So Webflow first. Two is Figma, because yeah, that is how, like, when clients send me designs for me to build, they usually send it into Figma. Funny enough, for the very first time I'm working with a client that actually had all their designs done in Canva. So yeah, but Webflow, Figma. Third, but definitely not the least, is ChatGPT. So working with Webflow, there are a whole lot of like limitations and stuff. So I use ChatGPT to help me, because I already pretty much know what I want. So I use ChatGPT to kind of sometimes help me with writing code, a whole lot of code, or tweaking code, or cleaning out the code I've written. So I use that a lot. Other tools, of course, Slack for communication. If you're working with a company that uses that as a primary means of communication. Fifth is Loom. So I use Loom a lot, especially when I'm reaching out to potential agencies, or maybe when I need to share like a quick video with the client based on progress I've made on a project. So yeah. And I think that's my top five. Webflow, Figma, ChatGPT, Slack, and Loom.
Well, thank you so very much for sharing. So we're switching back, right? And for me, it kind of leads us back to our discussion. You said something that when we mentioned between remote work or office, and you chose remote work, right? So, but I feel most times people that work remotely, sometimes I think they struggle with focus and burnout. What do you think?
Um, Well, I guess, but what is the price to pay? Yeah, there is, yes. Um, Unfortunately, or depending on how you look at it, when you are working remotely, like for instance, there are days when most of the things that take me out of the house is when I have to go to the gym. Yeah, and if I don't go, if I for one reason or the other do not go to the gym, I'm probably going to be stuck in my house for the entire day, or stuck in this room, which is what I use as my home office here. I think burnout comes, there are very different reasons for burnout. Some of them is maybe you're working multiple jobs, or you have multiple projects that you're trying to deliver at the same time. For me, I've managed to, so I've been doing this since 2020. I was forced into doing it by the pandemic, but what has helped me so far is coming to understand that at the end of the day, clients do not want excuses, they want results. So in this game, it's very result driven. Because first off, if you get a remote opportunity, know that you are not just competing with people in your geographical area, you are not just competing with people in Lagos, or yeah, all over the world, right? So when you get that opportunity, you just have to show up. In terms of burning out, a whole lot of that much since 2020, I think, was the year whereby I felt that was one of the reasons why I had to take that gap here, because I just needed to take a break from work. But since then, I don't think I've really felt that way. Yes, there are times when I have to pull all nighters. In fact, I remember there was a time when I was working for a company that was based in Asia, and I had to work. It wasn't asynchronous. I had to work on their own time. So I would wake up, start work by 10, wait, no, 2 a.m. I'll work from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. Yeah, and I did it for months until there was a time I needed, there was a project that we needed to, very, very, very important project. And around that time, maybe because of the stress for it, I kind of fell ill, you know. But I was doing that for I think close to like 6, 8 months, working with them, being the only African on the team, right? So, but I managed because I knew what was at stake. I knew what was at stake. So I would wake up I'll probably try to sleep as early as I could. Unfortunately, that wasn't always possible. But I know that by 2 a.m., I have to be up. Our team meeting starts around like 2:20. Then I have to now walk till 10 a.m., then sleep or go out, do some things, and come back. And I was doing that for months, and I didn't die, you know. So, and another thing is, even when I was working a regular 9 to 5, that's in the office, I never took on anything that I felt like would distract me from my main job. So I would have to say no to a whole lot of side gigs, right? I try not to overwhelm myself. However, have I done all nighters just to finish up on a project? Yes. But so long as you're able to take a break, right, and calm down before I don't recommend people who say grind and sleep only when the job is done. You need to rest. Else, like, people have found out you can fall sick, and that's even a greater cost to your body and to the client.
Well, you said something right. Being able to pull out nighters and being able to deliver because customers doesn't want to hear excuses. right? And for me, it kind of leads us to the next discussion, right? What tools do you use daily to 10x more to be 10x more effective than people you are competing, not competing with or collaborating with in that same space of Webflow?
So I don't know if it's naturally 10x, but I'll say, I'll definitely say without a doubt, ChatGPT. Because there is, I mean, there's this term that you say we stand on the shoulders of giants, right? I feel like there's so much. Anybody who is working in the tech or knowledge space that is not leveraging, it doesn't have to be chat. It could be cloud, it could be Gemini, it could be Cos or any of these tools. You are really doing yourself a disservice. You are really doing yourself a disservice. There are certain things or certain features I've been able to build with so fast than I would if I wanted to do it by myself. The most important thing is that I know exactly what it is that I want to do. I know the problem is trying to solve. And then I give ChatGPT a prompt, tweak it a little bit, try it out, and then it works. That would save me time than maybe spending time Googling or spending 1 hour on Stack Overflow, for instance, or on CSS tricks trying to learn something. So I'll say um, ChatGPT has been definitely been part of my workflow in the last 2 years. In the last 2 years, I've used it a lot. Um, I don't know any other thing that I can really say. I can really pinpoint to the very work I do right now. And it's not just always for workflow development. I use it for a whole lot of stuff. I was importing I was migrating content from a WordPress website to Webflow. And in the CSV, I needed to clean up some information before I now transferred it. I'm not much of an Excel expert or a Google Sheets expert. So I just went to ChatGPT and told it, this is what I want to do from this cell to this cell. And it wrote me a very long formula. Now, I could have decided, you know what, let me spend 1 hour watching a YouTube, which wouldn't even be able to give me the solution based on the context of the problem that I had, right? But I just put it in ChatGPT and it gave me a very long formula, plugged it into the sheets, back, 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 everything is ready. I could say, oh, you know what, I'm a purist, I like leverage on existing tools, stand on the shoulders of giants to make your work faster. And it helps you because you are able to deliver. If you promise a client you're going to finish something in 3 weeks and you deliver it in 2 weeks, definitely he's going to come back and you're going to get referrals.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Right. And for me, I remember when in our last discussion or in our discussion we had earlier, you said that you were able to work within the time of 2 a.m. to 10 a.m., right? So this is not just for that particular project, right? But generally. So when was the last time when you felt like quitting, but and you just felt, okay, quitting is not the time, so you just pulled back?
I would say it was actually that on that job because, and that was not because of the job per se, but right that around that period, I was feeling very ill, and it was actually affecting my deliverables. But I felt like I was, just chest it, just pull through, and eventually I lost that opportunity because I wasn't able to deliver again. This is not a government. People are paying you to deliver something at a particular time frame. Yeah, so that was a very big lesson. Maybe I should have just said, you know what, right now I cannot really deliver on this. I need to and let me take a step back. But I felt like I could do it. I could do it, and eventually I was let go. It was a very big lesson. It was a very big lesson, and that was actually just because I wasn't feeling too well at that particular period in time. Other than that, I've learned to persevere. There's really, provided you're working with good people that respect you, that respect your time, that respect your expertise, that respect what you are bringing to the team, and that even starts from the point of getting recruited. So I know that there are certain people that maybe I'm starting a project and I'm giving them pointers and they don't want to, their own is just do it this way, just do it this way. I mean, for someone who is starting in this industry, you are going to definitely face that. But the leverage you have with someone who is experienced, you can decide, okay, fine, I don't want to work with this client or I don't want to work with this, because peace of mind is also very key. But that might not be, and I don't see this from a point of pride or bragging, but in the very early beginnings of my career, I took on anything and everything just so that I could get the experience. When you're a little bit more experienced, when you're a little bit medium or senior, you can decide. If you're a freelancer, for instance, you can decide, you know what, maybe this might not be the best fit for me. So even when I get on calls with potential clients, beyond just the fact that I'm interested in working with them and they might pay me well, it's also I have to know, are they really a good fit? Am I a good fit for this project? Are they also a good fit for me? Yeah, so if it works, you probably would not have so many times where you feel like you want to throw in the towel and quit.
Yeah. You said something that I feel is very important we should talk about, right? I feel people keep sacrificing their health over money. So they prefer the money, then the
Hmm.
health will suffer. What do you think about that? I think is in this particular generation that we're entering, people prefer the money than the health.
I mean, if as someone who is very health conscious, it will tell on you. It will tell on you. There are times when I haven't slept, like maybe I've slept like 3 hours or 4 hours, maybe I'm working on a project. For me, it's very easy. I will just fall ill. I will fall ill. That's one thing I've noticed with myself. Again, there are, I would say, if there are times when you have to, the grind is, you have to deliver, you can do it. I'm not this kind of person that just says, you know what, just chill, just life is easy. No, there are times when you have to pull in those long nights. But again, it depends on, are you doing it on a day-to-day basis, um going on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? It's not healthy, right? Or you're drinking a lot of energy drinks to keep you awake. Eventually your body keeps the score. Eventually your body is going to tell on you. So I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those grind it to No, no. You need your rest. You need your bed. You need to sleep, not just lying down for the sake of lying down, but having quality sleep. So I'm not one of those people. I would never recommend. But however, are there times when you just have to deliver? You have to spend a whole lot of time, making a whole lot of sacrifices just so you can deliver. Yes, there are those times, and I've done it, and I will still do it. But it's definitely not something I recommend for doing for a very long time, because your body starts getting, starts bearing all that abuse that you're doing to yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Guys, see, please take your health so serious. Definitely, you
Thank
make this money,
you.
but most importantly, take care of yourself. All right.
And exercise and workouts. Yeah, very
Yeah, I've been hitting
important.
the gym. We've been seeing you. We're learning from you. Right.
Wow.
All right. So, but I feel we need to have this discussion, right? This particular discussion that we are going into now. What do you think people get wrong about success in tech?
Mm, so I think people really underestimate the work that goes in to, what, let's not just say in tech, but any field,
Hmm.
right? And that's because the people that they are looking up to are people who have been in the field for like a number of years, say 5 years, 10 years. And with with the age of social media, a lot of people talking about, I just closed this deal, or this is my salary. It feels like, but these guys have been grinding. Nobody shows you, nobody puts a camera to their face and shows you the rejections, dealing with difficult clients, dealing with difficult colleagues. nobody really shows you that part. So most people are only going to celebrate their successes on social media, on LinkedIn, right? So it creates this false narrative that all you just need to do is to get into tech or build one app or exit from one startup and you're going to be good for life. Not really, not really. Anybody who has attained success has spent, trust me, some people have cried over rejection emails. Like every other field, you need to put in the work. There is no shortcuts to it. You just need to put in the work. I know it sounds very generic, and that's just because it's true. Even I myself, can I really say I have gotten to the pinnacle of success in my industry? Not really. I'm still learning. There's still stuff that I need to learn. I'm still learning every single day. I still want to work with people who have reached particular milestones that I myself also want to reach. And there is nothing bad about aspiring for more, but we need to like keep this balance. Else, people who are going to fall into traps of paying for paying for courses that have no value just because there is a promise at the end of it. Yes, you finish getting the skill, but there's also the point of getting someone to pay you to use that skill in the organization.
Well, thank you so much. Right. And for me, it kind of brings us to, before, as we wind down this particular session, right? What's one project that you have that you're most proud of till today? It could be personal, right? But what's one project you want to share with us?
Man, okay. There's so many. I'm just thinking through. Okay, so there was this. Um, okay, maybe I'll just mention. To the first one was back in 2021 when I was just learning Webflow, right? I took it upon myself because with so much self belief, I looked at this very nice website and I did a clone. So good thing about Webflow is that you can um, build websites and put it out for other developers to clone and use on their own project. So I had not really known how to do animations in Webflow, but I learned. I spent a couple of days, built out this project, right? I built it out and then I put it for people to clone and I shared on the Webflow developers group on Facebook. This was back in 2021 while I was still learning. I shared it and then someone within the group reached out to me. His name is Hal. He owns like one of the top enterprise workflow agencies right now in America. So he reached out to me and asked me if I would like to join his team as a workflow developer. That was my very first remote job back in 2021. So it just came from I looked at this website. It was very nice. I said I gave myself a challenge to rebuild it, just to rebuild the homepage. And after many days, in fact, reason why I'm still so proud of it is that I learned so many things with that project that I'm still using. In fact, guess what? I got a job somewhere else some years after, and I had to use some of the components I built on that old website. I so when they said, okay, we want this thing in our website, I just said, okay, fine. I just went to the website built in 2021 and just copied it and pasted, tweaked it a bit. So it just goes to show you that no knowledge really is lost. I designed it, that project, I designed it. I didn't necessarily get paid for it, but it opened doors for me for like two other jobs later on. So yeah, I think that's one of my. I think then the other one I would say was it was because there was a technical hurdle. Any project that I work on, whereby I leave that project learning something new, for me is a win for me because maybe I got into the project and I just took it based on the faith that I was going to figure it out, and I figured it out. So any project, present, future, that gives me that opportunity to gain a new skill that I probably didn't know I needed, or probably I felt it was going to go from A to B straight up. And then there were so many like I had to do so many things to get there. Is always something I'm going to be proud of.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm going to round up this particular session with one discussion we need to have, right? I know people will be watching this video, they want to enter this space. I know they'll be saying, wow, this guy was able to pull through. Though since he mentioned that there are some people that are lawyers, there are some people that studied agri science, and the list goes on, right? But what would you say to someone that have zero knowledge in tech and he's watching us right now? What would you tell the person?
So if they have zero knowledge in tech and they want to get into tech, I would say do not overthink it or hesitate, right? Go online. I mean Google, right? Maybe they could go online and say, especially if they have absolutely zero idea of what they want to do and they want to work in this space. Just go online, search what are the top 10 tech jobs in the world, pick any one of them, go into YouTube and say how to become a this, how to become a this. And by the time they watch videos, like 10 videos on each different roles, they'll probably have an idea of what they feel like they want to do. Now, once they have an idea of that one, go on YouTube again and search for beginner course in this, or entry level or something, or master class or whatever that thing is. Do a project on do a project on that thing, and then maybe post it. So just do a project on that thing so that you know if you want to do it long term. I feel a lot of people just think, I want to try this, I want to try this. They have like five things that they want to try. Okay, have you spent like 30 minutes to 1 hour to even just try something on it and see whether you like it? Just see whether you like it, right? So I would say that's my final parting words. If you are interested in this, do not overthink it too much. There is a wealth of information online that you can use to know if you it's something that you want to do, or even if it's maybe you just have it like a small business and you want to implement it there. Someone reached out to me one time, and she's a beautician and she wanted to go into tech, and I said, you know what, these are a couple of things I feel like you might want to do. Go on YouTube, watch a video, and then ask yourself, do you think this is something I want to wake up by 6 a.m., 7 o'clock to go to a job for? And there is nothing bad in admitting that you are joining tech because of the money, right? But the money comes after you have solved problems, not the other way. The money will come if you are able to solve problems. That is what everybody, regardless of what industry, they need problem solvers. So see yourself not just as someone in tech or whatever role that you find yourself, just, okay, I am here to solve problems. And when I solve these problems, I am being paid a remuneration. Yeah, I'm being paid a salary. I'm being paid this money, or I'm getting this because of the problems that I solve. So that's my final parting words here.
You said something so profound, and I know you have said it before. Find a problem, solve it, master it to a large extent, and practice it. Don't just look at something and say, oh, this is so easy to do. Practice it for the first 30 days, 21 days, and see if you are still interested. Right? See, any parting words for our viewers?
Yeah, yeah, regardless of whatever it is that you find your hands to do, just do it. I know there was a time when they were saying everybody should learn a tech skill, but regardless of whatever it is that you're doing, I know people who are in the e-commerce space that are cleaning out. There are people who are beauticians who make hair. There are, people who build, who decorate, and they are really cashing out, right? So the most important thing is find something that you already know that the market needs this. Don't just pick a skill based on the fact that you like it. It's if you just like it, let me just do it. No, because it's frustrating. I've said this already, but it's frustrating doing something that, yes, you are passionate about, but it doesn't pay your bills. So find something that the market is willing to pay for. Learn the skill to be able to plug yourself into it.
Well, Thank you so very much, Gabriel, for honoring us to be on this show. It's very important not just to be a listener, right? Just like Gabriel said, find a problem, solve it, be a master in it, and people will come looking for you. All right, guys, do have a great time. And once again, please remember to subscribe and have a great time. Thank you.